in Mumbai. We've got an action-packed episode. Here's what's lined up over the next half hour. On the show this week, they've just announced a big fundraising and exclusive with Sachin Duggal, the founder of Nivio. We feature the new trend of startups within the online education space. And finally, we head to Thai Smash Up and bring you all the action from the Delhi event. Here on Starting Up, we always get you exclusive interviews, and so here's another one. Now, this one is a startup that's managed to raise as much as $21 million for a product that hasn't been launched yet. It's the hottest story in the cloud. Sudhir Sial caught up with cloud desktop startup Nivio for this exclusive.
Ever use Internet Explorer on your iPhone, or for that matter, a PC environment on your Mac? Well, that's the experience Palo Alto and New Delhi headquartered Nivio serves up through its Ubiquity environment. Nivio works out of N-Center and N-Drive. While the former provides you with access to a number of software applications on the cloud, the latter helps you save data, which is synced across your multiple devices. Think Dropbox on steroids, or a virtual layer which brings together your three screens, the computer, mobile, and tablet. It's been a 7-year-long goal for Nivio, which just got fresh fuel with $21 million in funding. We caught up with Sachin and started the interview by asking him about the big fundraising.
Yes, actually, we've been very fortunate. God's shone his light. We raised $21 million for Nivio. We closed around yesterday, so we made the announcement publicly as well. We've created the funding from a private equity company in the US called AEC Partners, and also with the Videocon Group.
Okay, so what sort of synergies do you see with the private equity partners and the Videocon Group? Because it's an unusual combination.
Specific to this, the Kansas City company has got a huge link into telecoms, content over networks, and has been waiting and wanting to do what the technology people call desktop as a service or cloud services for a long while, and it's been trying to find the right play. And with Videocon, it's consumer electronics and technology are one and the same. Consumer electronics and computing are becoming a converged platform. And so whether it's the hardware or delivery or network, I think it makes a lot of strategic sense for us and for them, given the vast portfolio of services and products that they have.
Great. And Videocon also, because your co-founder is from the Videocon family. So take us through some of the synergies with Videocon. What will we see in a combined play between Nivio and Videocon moving forward?
The synergies are multifold. So if you look at the potential for delivering a PC experience to a screen or any screen, Videocon is in many screens. Then you look at the ability to acquire services. A lot of phobia around the cloud is it's virtual. You can't touch and feel. But when you have a pan-India network of retail and partners, that's a huge thing for us to tap into. And then the third thing is, Videocon is not only an Indian company, it's a global Indian conglomerate now. And so through that, we have access to other electronic partners.
Sure. Sachin, so take us through the product. So it's essentially user experience synchronization across multiple products using the cloud or desktop as a service. There are multiple ways to define it. To a user, explain what Nivio really does.
We're trying to bring this magic back to computing. And the way we're doing it is we're taking the three elements of the compute experience. So you've got your desktop, which is the operating system. You've got apps, and you've got your data. And we move them all to the cloud. But unlike most services, we're not just moving them to a single location in the US. We're delivering this regionally. So when you're an Indian user, it's delivered in India from India, so it's a lot quicker. And what we're doing is we're taking that desktop experience and we're delivering it across any connected screen. So, for example, you could be on an iPhone and you can get the Windows desktop on there. You could take your iPhone and plug it into a 20-inch display, use a Bluetooth keyboard, and now your iPhone is your laptop.
So one big part of this is sort of preventing users from rebuying software every time and moving into this hiring or renting software module, right? So why don't you take us through how that was structured and how that really plays out?
So there's a couple, right? So if you look at the average software model, people have to buy software usually, if you're an early adopter, every 14 to 16 months, you will upgrade to the next version. If you're a middle bloomer, it's usually between 24 and 34 months you do the upgrade. Now that means, but the average break-even is about 50 months in terms of how we do the pricing. So you're having to do this upgrade every single time to get the latest version, and then there's patches in the middle that come through. In our world, you simply say rent everything's free for 30 days. So we actually also give a lot of free software that for OpenOffice, Skype, Yammer, Evernote, Twitter, as examples. And you're able to add them on click, and they're available in 5 seconds. So not only is there a benefit that you can try before you buy, the second benefit is instant. So when you buy, say, Microsoft Office today, you have to go buy a disk, take the time from decision to access, right? So you have to go buy a disk. It's going to take you 3 hours or 2 hours. You're then going to install it. It's going to take you another hour and a half. Then you're going to set it up, get it going. So you're minimum 6 hours, maximum 3 days before you've actually got what you wanted, especially if you ordered it online or you've downloaded it. In the Nivio world, from I want to use is 5 seconds.
Sachin, take us through the business model, because you're sort of redefining how hopefully people might use computing. Multiple business models out there. Which business model are you guys most bullish on?
So, we believe in a cross between obviously a revenue model that makes us money, especially since the focus, a part of our company is owned by our foundation for educating kids. So making revenue is very important. The second part of it is that, we also believe in the freemium model, that, you need to give something to the user in between him paying, so the relationship is maintained. So we give 10 gigs of storage for free for life. We don't ask any revenue from that, irrelevant of whether you pay us. And the beauty there is that customer can switch on Windows for a month, switch it off, get an app for a month, not get it later on. So there's a casual use case. When it comes to the app, we have a revenue share with the ISPs. So we pay, if we're paid $1, we pay a percentage of that back to the software vendor. So they've bought into the process that it's a per user per month model. In some of our core platform technology, it's not a per user per month, it's a per concurrent user per month.
Sachin, the big bet you folks have taken is a very ambitious bet, considering the amount of money you've raised, is that people are going to want to use an enabler which brings together and brings a ubiquitous experience, right? What convinces you about this bet that people are going to want to use something like Nivio to sort of bring together all their various devices?
So I think it's a couple. I think one is, let's look at some macro trends. So one is, what is this consumer doing? Because remember, we're not targeting the high-end enterprise. We're targeting that small business, that prosumer, the consumer, the SOHO, the student. And let's look at what they do, right? So number one, they have these other activities they do in their life that are magical, and they just happen. This is the only experience as a headache. So that's one reason. Second thing is, we're seeing with broadband becoming more available, widespread, not only in India, but on a global basis, whether it's LTE, 3G, fiber, DSL, pretty much you don't work unless you're online now. It's a high probability that you're going to be, when you're doing something productive or curation or even consumption of content, you're online. And what are the use cases? So if you're what I call a binary user, you use it every day for 8 hours, why would you use it? So you could tell, if you're a small business, you tell your people, bring your own device to work. Now you don't have to buy PCs for your customers. Number two, you have old machines. So you have Windows XP or Windows Vista. How do you run a Windows 7-like or a Windows 8-like experience? Today you have to upgrade your hardware, buy software, retrain people. You don't have to in our world. You go to a browser and it works instantly. And then you've got low-cost devices like the Chromebook. And now you have the ability to run a Windows experience and powerful apps on a much more affordable device. Then you've got a second set of people, what I call the tablet generation. In the tablet generation are, my iPad's going to do everything, or my Android tablet's going to do everything. But what they realize is that there is a real problem in productivity. And now what you've got is the ability to consume content in one personality, but on the same device have a second personality, which is curate content.
What are Nivio's plans now? The money is in the bag. What are your plans over the short term?
We have a painted picture, which is our 3-year outlook. It sounds very audacious, but we want to be a $3 billion business in 3 years, so October 2014. But in terms of kind of short term, we're looking at, we have a US release next week. We launch at Mobile World Conference in Barcelona for Europe. And then on March 20th, we release general availability of product in India.
Sachin, it's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, a hot story emerging in the cloud there. We'll take a breather here on the show, but coming up, we meet Touchcraft, a start